good? Can you guys see everything?
Yes.
All right, good. So my name is Clayton Gage. I go to Middletown High School. I'm a senior. And I'm here to give you guys a presentation about beekeeping. So what do you guys think you know about beekeepers? Does anybody know anything? Yep.
That they keep bees and a thing called a
You forgot? But you were close. So we keep them in a hive. So here, I'm just going to move over here real quick. So this is what our beehive looks like. So we keep all the bees in there. So there's a couple different parts to the bees. So we have these regular boxes right here. As you can see, it's made up of 3 boxes. And 3 is usually what we have. So we have the 2 bottom boxes right here. That's where the bees live, and that's where the new bees are born. And the top box right here, we call that the super. So that's where all the honey is made. So as a beekeeper, you know, we have to do a couple different things. We don't like to get stung. So I have some things here I'd like to show you guys. You guys can pass them around if you want. We call this the bonnet. We put it on our head. It doesn't let, the bees don't get in. You can try it on if you want. You can pass that around. And we have some gloves here too. So we wear these when we're handling the bees, when we're in the hive. Sometimes they can sting your hands. So we have that. So one of the things we do as beekeepers.
pass it to him.
Yeah, you guys can pass it around. That's fine. So one of the things we do is we get the honey from the hive. So you can see here. This is
Oh my class. Voices are off. Voices are off.
So you can see here. So this is what the inside of a beehive looks like. So these things here, those are called frames. So in the frames, that's where the bees are. They live there, and they make the honey in there too. So here's a close up. So one of the things we do, one of the things the bees do is the bees make honey. The bees, they will go out to different plants, and they get nectar from the plants. So the plants, the flowers, they have this really sweet liquid. It's called nectar. So what they'll do is they'll come back to the hive, and they'll put it in these special little cells. We call that honeycomb. And they put it in these cells, and they mix it up. They have a little straw with their tongue. They mix it up, and then they fan it with their wings, and it helps it to solidify a little bit, and it makes honey. So, do you guys like honey? Has anybody in here had honey? You guys like it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, you love it? Yeah. It's good, right? Yeah.
So cool, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
They make honey for their babies.
Yeah, that's right. So he said they make honey for the babies. So that's what the bees survive off of. Is they all eat the honey. So they'll make it in there, and then they all eat it, and they feed it to the baby bees. So another thing the beekeepers do, and that the bees do, is the bees do something they call it pollination. So what the bees do.
Sit back. Excuse me, friends.
All right.
You need to have your voices off, or so I'm going to ask you to come sit back here with me.
All right. So one of the things that the bees do is they do something they call it pollination. So the bees, like I said, they fly around to all the different flowers. And so we put them on a trailer like this, and they fly around, and they get the nectar because they want to make the honey. When they're getting the nectar, they have special little sacs on the side of their legs. So when they go to the flower, they pick up the pollen from the flower. And what they'll do is they'll fly to another flower, and they'll leave the pollen at the new flower. And what that does is it helps the fruit to grow. So it helps the new pollen from the old plant. It helps stimulate the flowers, and it fertilizes them, and new fruit will grow. So that's how you guys like. Do you guys like apples, strawberries? You guys like strawberries? Do you guys like going and picking pumpkins during the fall? Yeah. So bees are responsible for all of that. So without bees, if we didn't have bees, you know, it could be real bad because we might not have any of that stuff.
Yeah, we have corn.
Yeah, corn. Yeah. All right. So you know, we know bees make the honey. You know, we know they pollinate. So sometimes as beekeepers, we get stung. So this is what the stinger of a bee looks like. Yeah. Has anybody been stung by a bee? Yeah, a couple of you guys.
No. Right on the foot.
Right on the foot. Oh, you step on
Me
it?
too. I was going onto my grandpa's tree and I got stung right there.
Yeah. So what happens? So this is what a bee stinger looks like. So this is a really zoomed in picture. They're not really this big. But what happens when the bees sting you? They have little barbs on the end of their stinger. So when they sting you, they try to fly away, but the stinger sticks, and the bee flies away, and the stinger's still stuck in you, and the bee will die. So this is what the stinger looks like. So you know, you were saying you got stung by a bee. It stung your foot. I bet it hurt a lot, right? Yeah, a lot.
The shoulder does have a lot of pain in it.
Yeah. So the reason it hurts that bad is the bees in this little thing right here. They have something they call the venom sac. So when the bee stings you, it pulls away, and that stinger and that venom sac gets stuck in there. So it's pumping this venom in, and it hurts real bad. So something that you know, if you do ever get stung by a bee, you know, you want to pull that out immediately.
I've been stung by a wasp.
By a wasp, yeah. So I'll talk about that in a second.
It was
So,
bad.
Yes.
if you do get stung by a bee, you know, you want to pull that out, and you might swell up a bit. But some people think that, you know, when they swell, they think that means they're allergic. Not necessarily. That's just, you know, a natural thing that might happen. So you said you got stung by a wasp, so that's a little bit different.
Me too.
So yeah. So wasps, yeah, they hurt real bad. They don't have the. I'm sorry.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it's alright.
Stop.
No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You can just keep it going.
Oh, the whole thing.
Yeah. So the wasps, they don't have the barbs on their stinger. So when they sting you, they can just keep going and keep stinging you a lot. That hurts. So all right. So there's a couple different types of bees. So there's the worker bees. Those are the females. Those are the ones who go and they get the nectar and they make the honey in the hive. And as you can see, they have a stinger. So then there's the male bees. The workers are the females. The drones, they're called the male bees. Or I'm sorry, the male bees are called the drones, and they don't have a stinger at the bottom. The drones, they're kind of lazy. They don't do a whole lot. They take care of the queen. So the queen bee, there's only one queen in the whole hive, and there's thousands of bees in a hive, but there's only one. And as you can see there, sometimes they'll mark her with a dot, so that she's just, you know, a lot easier to find, so people know where she's at. So what she does is she lays the eggs in the hive, and they call that the larva. So there's a picture there of the larva. So they'll plant. Yeah, it does. It looks kind of gross. But they plant those in the hive, or the queen will lay them, and they develop into new bees. So bees, they work all spring and all summer. So, but in the winter, what they do is they do this. So you can see there's a bunch of bees clumped up. What you can't see is under that little clump there is the queen. So the queen, she's the most important bee in the entire hive. She lays all the eggs. So during the winter, what they do is first they kick out the male bees because they don't do anything. You know, they're lazy. They're not important. So they kick them out of the hive. So then they form around the queen and they keep her warm all winter. And then they eat the honey. So all year they make the honey, and then throughout the year they'll eat it, or throughout the winter they hibernate and they eat that honey. So they save it up for that. All right, does anybody have any questions about bees or anything?
No.
Yeah. You forgot? All right, that's fine. Yeah.
How do you get the honey if they save it for winter?
That's a really good question. So every spring, at the beginning of spring, what we do is we will collect all the honey. So the bees make a lot of honey. and they can't eat it all during the winter. It's not possible. They make way too much. So during the spring, we take what they didn't eat, and let's see. Let's go back up here. So right here, you can see this is what the honey will look like. So we take them from these frames here. These frames, they'll be full of honey, and it'll look like that. And we put it in this big machine, and we spin it, and it'll spin, and all the honey that's in these little holes here, it'll fly out of the machine or of the frames, and it'll go down into the bottom of this machine. So we filter it out. Sometimes there might be like bugs or dirt or something. We gotta filter it, and we heat it up, and then we bottle it and we sell it. A lot of beekeepers do. I have a beekeeping business, my family does, and that's what we do, we sell it. So that's how we do it. So we take all the leftover honey, because we don't want the bees to starve. We know they need food. Yep.
Once my dog got stung by a bee right near its eye. Both my dog got stung by a bee right near their eye, and their eyes started swelling.
Yeah. So anybody, it will probably swell from a bee. So, like I said before, when you get stung, there's that venom that's pumping in. And so what your body does is it makes you swell up. It wants you to do that. It's a natural reaction, and it actually helps, it helps heal it up quicker. So, if you get stung, you might swell up. Yep.
Well, does the female bees come back, or they just stay out there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So bees are very smart, right? You just think, they're just little bugs. You wouldn't think that they're as smart as they actually are, but they are. They're very smart. So they know. They have a little thing in their brain that tells them where everything's at. So they can fly out to a flower, and they'll fly back to the hive, and they know exactly where it's at. There's another thing they do. Some people call it the honey dance. So what they'll do is they dance around. They have this special little dance that they do.
I know
Yeah, kind of like that. And
I know.
they walk around in a certain pattern. And so what that does is that tells the other bees in the hive where good flowers are, where they can get nectar from, all that kind of stuff. And it's so complex that scientists are struggling to understand it. They're having trouble figuring out, all the language of the bees. But they don't get lost. They know exactly where they're going. Anybody else? Yeah.
Why do the male bees don't do anything, and after winter they kick them out?
Well, so they're lazy. I don't know. They do some things. They take care of the queen. So the queen's the most important bee in the entire hive. Why? Well, because she lays all the eggs. She keeps the hive repopulated. She keeps it full of bees the whole year. So the male bees, all they really do is they take care of her. They bring her honey. They do things like that. They'll fertilize the eggs, and they make the larva, which is what we saw down there. And if they kept all the male bees in the hive, they would eat a lot more of the honey. They might run out. So by kicking all the male bees out, they make sure that they have enough honey for the queen and for all the workers. Yep.
Are you going to put that stuff on?
You want me to put it on?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I can put it on for you. So.
And the gloves.
And the gloves? Yeah, I'll put the gloves on for you
How
too.
does that work?
The glove? Okay. So, all right. Thank you very much. So this just goes right over your head. You just put it on. You want me to put both gloves on?
Yeah.
All right. So this just goes on your head like that, and then you pull these strings tight. Well, you pull them
So
tight.
that way the bees don't get in.
Yep, the bees can't get in. And thank you very much.
Let's go.
And so you put these gloves on here, and it makes it so that when you're handling the bees, you can't get stung. So did everybody get a chance to see these passing around? Yeah, so this is really thick. This is leather. So the bees can't get through that. So when you're wearing them, you're not going to get stung. You can see here, so I didn't bring the whole suit today, but you'll have a big suit like that on. And during the summer, it gets really hot. Really hot. So I'm actually going to take this off because it's getting real hot. Some of you guys asked what that was over there. So let me pick that up and I'll show you guys what that is.
Is that the thing that spins the honey?
No. The thing that spins the honey, it's a big giant tank.
I know.
Yep.
Those keep the bees asleep so you won't get stung.
Yeah, that's almost, that's kind of right. So what we do with this, we call this the smoker. So we open this up here, and I'm not going to open it up because it's a little dirty. I don't want to get dirt all over your floor. But we stuff it with pine needles or leaves or something like that, and we light it up. And what we'll do is we'll pump it. We'll just do just like that, and smoke will come out of the top.
Oh, I know that.
So the bees smell the smoke, right? And they think that there's a fire. So we're tricking the bees. So what it does is they smell that smoke and they think it's a fire. So they don't want their hive to light on fire. And they got all this honey that they built. They've done a lot of hard work. So what they'll do is they'll eat all the honey that they can. They'll stuff themselves full, and that makes them not able to fly. They'll be too heavy. They can't fly. So whenever we go into a hive, whenever we got to work on it, whenever we got to do something, what we'll do is we call it smoking. So we'll smoke them, and we'll go in there, and it'll calm them down, and they won't be able to fly, and they won't sting us as much. So that's what this is for. So this is a very important part of beekeepers' equipment. Every beekeeper has this.
Can you put the cleanest? Is it that heavy?
No, it's not too heavy.
Can we pass it around?
Yeah, you guys pass it around. Sure. There you go. Just be careful with it, all right? So, yep, you got a question?
I saw bees before
Mm-hmm.
at my auntie's house, and my friends we ran around them and they didn't sting us.
They didn't sting them?
It just splashed.
It splashed? Yeah, so don't squeeze it too hard. Yeah, see, there's a little smoke in there still. So we haven't used it in a while, but yeah, it'll smoke and it'll calm the bees down. Yep. Did you got stung by a bee? Yeah, did it hurt? I don't want you guys, you two, to get mad at me if you make a big mess. So, yeah, you're fine. Sorry.